Go. Let's try that. That should be a little bit better. Hopefully you can hear me now. There we go. Okay, so good morning. It is Robert. It is the 17th, and today we're talking about smart plans, and we're going to be going over the foundations of smart plans so that you can get comfortable with learning about what they are and what you need to get set up and what you need working before you actually begin building your smart plans. So we're going to be talking about like the whole concept. There is going to be a class on Thursday that is going to be doing the smart plan uh, workshop where we're actually going to build some smart plans. But for today, we're just going to be going over what it is, what we need to set up, what's all involved with using smart plans. So we're going to start off here. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera over to show you this little guy, which is my main screen here in Command. And of course, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things here. So we're going to start at the front page. We're going to start in Command at the dashboard. And we're going to walk through a couple of areas where we need to make sure that we have settings right before we begin working with smart plans. Some of those settings are going to be in your settings area. Oh, God, it seems like I got my dog here or something like that. So we're going to go up to our profile up in the top right hand corner, and we're going to click on our profile icon, and we're going to come down here to settings. And we're going to talk about some of the settings that we need to have in place before we start working with smart plans. So we'll go ahead and open up the settings area. And when we get in here, as you can see, we are looking at the integrations mainly here. That's the first page with all the different integrations that we have. One of those integrations that we need to make sure is set up correctly is here in the email services area. We need to make sure that you have connected your email account to Command, because many of the things that we do in smart plans are email based. So we're going to come down here to Command Email, and if you do not see the word manage here, that means you have not connected your email account, in which case you can go ahead and click Connect. When you open up the Connect settings, it's going to ask you to pick or use an email account for when people receive the emails coming from a smart plan, when it lands in their inbox. If they decide to reply to that email, this is the email that they're going to reply to. So this is where when somebody clicks on reply to an email, this is the email that's going to pop up in there. So you will have a bunch of choices, and you can also add a custom email here. But you'll notice on the right-hand side, it says White Pages email, Keller Williams email, recovery email, marketing profile email. These are all pulled from different areas that you have set up profiles in Command or in Keller Williams. So you want to make sure that, number one, you see a variety of different profile emails, because if you don't see, for example, a White Pages email, that means you haven't finished your White Pages. So in the case of the White Pages here, my White Pages email is set up to KWCLM. My Keller Williams email is kw.com. I have a recovery email, which is my personal email. And then we have a marketing profile email, which is set up in the marketing profile area of Command. And of course, I have a choice for a custom. Right now, my default email for people to reply to is the robert.vincent@kwclm. Once you've chosen that one, you can come down here, and if you don't have a subscription, which you will, you're going to have 5,000 free emails per month. But if you do have a need to go above that, you can click on Manage Subscription, and you can request more emails for a small charge. But that's all we need to do. If you did make a change here, you would want to click Save Changes, and that way the Save Changes would put that new email as the default email for replies to specifically what we're talking about with smart plans. All right, so I'll go ahead and close that up. And now let's go down here a little bit further, and we're going to talk about the messaging area in the integrations. So one of the tools that's inside of smart plans is being able to send out an SMS, text messages. And by being able to do that, you can use one more avenue or one more channel to communicate with your clients, with any of your contacts. So the Twilio tool is the connection between Command and sending those text messages out. It's a third-party service, and what they do is by integrating here into Command, you can set up a smart plan that will look at the phone numbers of all of the contacts that have been added to the smart plan. And if the smart plan includes a text message that needs to be sent out on your behalf, it will be processed through Twilio so that it doesn't end up in the spam filter, because sending out 100 text messages might be considered spam. But by using Twilio, you're using a service that handles this, and that's what they're designed to do. It doesn't come up as spam. Now, people can still block it and they can still unsubscribe and all that, but what I'm saying is you don't have to do this manually, and you can use this service to do it. Now, my service that I have here is the minimum service, which is 300 SMS text messages per month, and that costs me about $3 and change. You can increase the amount of SMS messages that you send per month. And since, this is a text message society, you may need to do that. But one nice thing is if you don't hit your maximum per month, they do roll over and they last for a year. So for example, right now, my Twilios, I have up to 2,648 text messages that I can send out because mine keep on rolling over. So these services are very, very powerful. In addition to having a text message tool, you can also see here that you have call forwarding. So if somebody calls back on a text message that you have sent, you can specify that you want that text message or that phone call to ring at a specific number. So if somebody calls you back, it will forward to your phone and ring on your phone. Now, there is a first time setup for doing that, 6 credits, and then beyond that, there is a per minute cost. And then if you do outside the country code, it's a 5 credits per minute. Now, what's important about this is if you do notice, if you do find that someone calls you back on a text message that you have sent out, tell them that you will call them back so that you don't chew up your credits and waste them in the phone call. So now that they've called you back, just say, let me call you right back, and then you do that, and you'll be off the Twilio service and onto your phone service, and that's going to be unlimited minutes, which is basically every phone plan that there is around today. So Twilio is one of those optional things where you do not have to set it up to actually make it work, but if you're going to be using any of the SMS messaging tools inside of a smart plan, this is how those messages will go out via the Twilio. All right, so to recap, in the integrations area, we want to make sure that we set up our command email so that we can send email out on our smart plans. And we want to set up our Twilio account so that we can send out SMS messages on our smart plan. So those are the two things in the integrations. Next thing up, let's go over here to the connect settings. We haven't left the settings area. And in the settings area, we want to look at the connect settings on the left-hand side, and we want to look at our marketing profile. So when we look at our marketing profile, there's a lot of information that is here in the marketing profile that is going to be used for any of the marketing that we do in Command, including smart plans. So we want to make sure that we absolutely have the most complete marketing profile that we possibly can, including, without a doubt, we need to have your photo in here, meeting the size requirements. If you are on a team, make sure your team logo is in here. Make sure your details, your first name, last name, your agent number, your license number, your job title, any designations that you might have, including commercial, luxury, and so forth. We also have a brand new one here for military affiliation. So this is something that they just recently added, so you can designate whether you have military service and what it is. So that's something that's just been added here. You also have your bio. This is actually a very important tool, and it shows up on your website and any of the marketing tools that use the bio. Now, it doesn't mean that all of your smart plans are going to use the bio, but just keep in mind that the bio is a required field in your marketing profile. Down here, we have our contact information. Make sure that is completely filled out with everything that you have. The market center or the brokerage information, you need to have this filled out. You can see all the red stars here. Make sure that that is completely filled out. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to the market center. And down here in the compliance, make sure that you have the legal footer text as required by the market center. You can always reach out to compliance to find out exactly what that information needs to be. And then finally, down at the very bottom, we have our social links, which are optional links. And these optional links, when they're added here, they will show up on your Keller Williams website, your KW website. And down at the very, very bottom, we have Facebook Pixel Ads and Google Analytics IDs. Now, while these do not specifically contribute to the smart plans, which we're talking about today, these will make a more complete profile. And as always, when you do make any changes or additions, make sure you come down to the very bottom and click on Save so that you can save that information and it doesn't get lost in what you've got there. All right, so now that we've set up the marketing profile and we've set up the settings within Command, let's take a look at some of the other things that we need to do to get our smart plans rolling. Now, if I come over here to the KW icon, and I click the KW icon, you can see that I can now see the names representing all these icons for all the different applets that are available in Command. Of course, we have the smart plans. So let's take a look at the smart plans here, and then we're going to talk about what we need to have in order to make these work in terms of actually building them out. So I'll go ahead and go to the smart plans area. And in the smart plans area, we have across the top, we have the My Smart Plans, which are the smart plans that you have created or the smart plans that you have downloaded from the library. Now, we're going to look right now at the My Smart Plans area, and I have 47 different people plans here. And in that list of all of the different plans that we have, we've got all the names here. Some of them you can see have eyeballs that are green, and some of them have no eyeballs at all, and some of them have numbers, and some of them do not, and they just have a little dash. So essentially what this means is that a smart plan that has been built, like this test 1, 2, 3 here, there is nobody associated with it. No contacts are currently using this smart plan. And the smart plan is not running because the eyeball is not there, indicating that the plan is dormant or not active right now. Where the one here with 4 people on the plan and the eyeball, which means it's currently running, you can actually click on that and see who is attached to this out of all of your contacts. So you can look at these and see where those people are and who's on it. And remember, the red, the eyeball here indicates that the plan is running, which means that it is not complete and there are still steps or delays or something going on where the smart plan is active. Whereas a smart plan that, again, has nothing on it may have been run, but it is currently inactive because nobody's on it and it is not running. So it's still valid, it just doesn't have anybody on it. And we'll talk about that in the next class when we talk about building the smart plans. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a blank smart plan. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I want to show you what goes into a smart plan and what we can do. And then we're going to back up because a lot of what you see that's going to happen next is stuff that we're going to need to have before we actually build the smart plan. So I'll come over here and once again, let me just move some stuff around on my screen here. There we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and create this little smart plan. We're going to call this August, and today's the 17th, class. All right, so Callus, class. All right, so here we are. I'll go ahead and create this smart plan. So I got a blank smart plan. I've just got a shell here. So because this is a foundations class, I'm going to walk you through some of the things that you see here so that it makes a little bit more sense to you. What we have is in the Smart Plan at the very top, we see that the Smart Plan says that it is currently running for 1 day, it has no steps in it, and it is not reaching the client in any touches. So there's no touches. Down below here, we see that we have the class or the Smart Plan name. And then we have this little section here that says add steps and save in order to be able to pick a trigger. And we'll talk about triggers in a minute. But right now, this is grayed out because we can't do anything until we indeed do add steps so that we can make this work. And down at the very, very bottom, it says end of Smart Plan. So there's nothing happening in between, and the end of the Smart Plan, of course, indicates that the Smart Plan is over. So right now, it's just a big blank. Over on the right-hand side are the different actions that we can add to a Smart Plan. So one of those actions, by the way, here, I'm just going to jump down because we just talked about this in the settings area, is the Send SMS Mms Messages. And this tool, when we add this, gives us the option to create an SMS message and send it out using our Twilio account if it's connected. If your Twilio account is not connected, then this Smart Plan, this feature, is going to fail and it's not going to work. But right now, my Twilio account is connected, so I can send out a Smart Plan SMS message. So the text messages, again, in order to use them, we have to have a Twilio account set up. So that's why I wanted to bring you in here to show you that some of these actions require settings that have to be done before we get here. Another thing that requires an action sometimes is if we send an email. So if I click send email here and I add that action in to the steps of the Smart Plan, you can see here is that reply to email that I mentioned when we first went into settings. So there's that reply to email, and then to the right of that is the subject. So I'll say that this is class test. And so now I've got a subject here. Now, emails have two options for how you compose the email. One is to come down here and just type in your email. So if we were to go in here and say, I'd like to say hello to you and welcome to whatever. This is the nice long email text. So when we put that in here, that's the body of the email. Of course, you have the ability to use formatting, B for bold, italics, underline, you have all those things. In addition to that, you can also come over here to the little field chooser here, the merge fields option, and you can merge in the, for example, the contact name, the last name, the email. You can merge in from the contact each of the contacts that will be reached out to. It will bring their name in here, including the option to bring your name and your team name in the app, a link. All of that is through composing your email here in the editor. Now, that's one way that you can create an email. And this is a standard way that you're used to creating emails now in your email program, like Google or whatever it is that you're using, Gmail. The other option is to, instead of using this simple email editor, you can actually choose to get from an existing design that you have created, you can bring a design into this Smart Plan. So, but you'll notice that it says when you do that, it says select design, not create a design. So I'll go ahead and click on select a design. And it lands me over here in the KWRI templates or into the My Design templates. Now, if I have not created a design for my email, then I'm going to end up having to choose one of these. And this is what I'm talking about with pre-planning. In order to build a successful, very easy to assemble Smart Plan, you need to have your designs done in advance so that you can just pick them when it's time to bring them into the Smart Plan to put them together to send out. So what that really means is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to leave the designs area, and I'm going to go ahead and save this Smart Plan. Actually, I'm not going to save it because I haven't got any of the fields filled out. There we go. I'll delete this, and I'm just going to say go back to the Smart Plan window. Okay. So instead of building the smart plan, we need to get ready for the smart plan. So I'll come back over to my little KW, and you can see here that down in the designs area of the program, I can go here and I can create a new design by clicking on Create Design. And I can create, in my case, I'm using an email as the tool in the smart plan. And I'll select email and I'll click Continue. And now I will create a brand new template off to the right and click on that. And now I can bring in all of the things that I want for my smart plan. So they can be, text in here. I can bring in an image in here. Let's go ahead and choose one of these. And I can build my smart plan as I go here. I'll bring my legal footer in there, and maybe I'll even bring in, that's good enough for now. Okay, so now that I've created my email template, I can actually preview it here to see what it's going to look like. There we go, with all of the information looking great. So there is my design that I want to use in my email for my smart plan. So I'll say that this is going to be the August class, and so I'll give it that name, and I will save this design. Now, you saw me just build a simple design. Obviously, there's no real message in here, but you can spend as much time creating this as you want and create that design so that it exists, and then you can go back to your smart plan, and inside your smart plan, and I'll go ahead and create a new one here, and this will be the August class, and hit apply. So now when I use the send email feature here, and I choose designs, when I select the design over on the left-hand side, I can use my designs, and there is my August class, and I can bring that into the email, make changes if I need to. When I'm done, I just say save it, and it puts it in the smart plan. So I'm not focusing on the design of the email right now. That's not the point of this class. The point is the email was done so that we can just bring it into the smart plan step. I've said this before in different classes. Smart plans themselves are just a list of things to do. It's just a steps for something to do. It's a process. Send me a text, send out an email, send an SMS message, do this, do that. It's just instructions. The stuff that's in it, the content, is what's the important stuff, right? So we want to make sure that we take time to write a good text message, to write a good email that's part of the smart plan. All of that needs to be done beforehand. The smart plan assembly or the smart plan building is nothing. There's just a matter of bringing the parts in, just like after you've cut everything up and prepped everything up for food, a nice dinner. When you do all that, all you're doing is assembling it and putting it together and throw it in the oven. So this is what I like about smart plans, is they're actually very easy. It's that falling backwards and saying, okay, let's look and pre-plan some of the things that we need to do to make sure our smart plan runs. So I talked about two things when I said we had some foundational things that we needed to get set. One of them was that we needed to use Twilio. If we're going to use it, we need to get it set up first. The other one was sending an email, and I referred to designs as one of the tools that we can use. So we would need to create that design first. Now, the rest of the information that is in a smart plan does not necessarily need to be pre-built, because those two things, sending an SMS and sending an email, those are the ones that require the most composition, the most pre-work. The rest of the tools that are available to you for actions inside of a smart plan, they're not dependent on external factors. So here's what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and remove this email from here, and we're going to take a look at just the actions that we can complete in a smart plan. So one of them is creating a task. So I'll go ahead and bring this object in here, create a task. I'll make this a little smaller so you can see a little bit more of it. There we go. So you're looking at the entire create a task dialog here. So the first thing you need to know is that the task is going to be triggered by the smart plan, which means it's like saying, I want my calendar to notify me on Monday that I need to do something. The Monday part of the equation is whenever the smart plan runs. In my case, the smart plan the task is in position number 1. So if the smart plan starts on Monday, then I'm going to get a task on Monday. The thing that a lot of people get confused about when they're looking at tasks is they think that the delay here is going to delay the start of the task. And that's not the case. What this is doing is delaying or specifying how long the window is before this task, once it has been triggered, becomes past due. So the due in delays is saying that I want this task to be due 5 days from the date that it is triggered. So if it's triggered on Monday, it will not become past due until Friday. The default is that it's past due if you haven't completed it on the day that it was added to your task list. 1 day is too long, so then it becomes past due. And what I'm really talking about is your task list here inside of Command. When the task is triggered, this is where it shows up. So this task will show up in the task list. With this setting of a delay of today, then this task will be due today, and it will be overdue or past due tomorrow. The next thing here, very simply, is giving a task name. Call back, call so-and-so, reach out to so-and-so. And the nice thing about this is you can actually say call client, right? So we'll say client, and you say to yourself, well, who's the client? Well, we have the merge fields just like we had in the email. So call client first name, and then we'll put a little space. We'll use the last name field, and then we'll say that's enough. Okay, so call them, but maybe even go a little bit further, and we'll say that not only do we want to say call John Smith, but we also want to have John Smith's phone number show up in the name of the task to make it easy for us to see who we need to call. In addition, we can also write a description that we're going to say, call John back to check on whether or not he has received information that I sent out last week. So this is a way for us to specify for ourselves what is going to happen in that task, what we need to look for. We also have the ability in a task to add a hyperlink. Now, I love hyperlinks, and here's why. If I go to just google.com, all right, I'm just going to go right there to Google's main page. If I need to remind myself of something and I find a web page, actually, let me do something that's a little bit more. Let's say that. Oh, you know what? Let's go to. Okay, something in my KW. There we go. So maybe there's something I need to go to in here. Maybe I'll need to go over to the internet. Great. And this is the page that I need to go to get some information to complete that task. I can highlight the URL for where I need to go to look, and I can place that URL inside of the task that needs to be complete. So instead of having to go fish around when I need to go look for something, I can actually put it right inside the task, and it will become a link so that when the task is popping up, I can just click on that link and it will take me to wherever on the web I need to go to view a document, to view a process or anything like that. So tasks are non-customer touching. They don't reach out, they don't reach the customer. So we're not considering those personal touches. However, they are touches in terms of the referencing the contact, and because it's a call contact in that way, it's kind of like it is a touch if you complete it. Okay. So that task is just a task. Then we have a make a call. Let me remove the task here, and we'll just do one thing at a time. So here's the make a call. In every way, it's exactly the same as a task, with one exception, and that is the icon that is being a call instead of a task to perform. So that you know when you see it in the task list, it's a call or it's a task. That's the whole difference between making a task and making a call. So that doesn't require any additional explanation there. Now, we went over the email, and we went over the SMS concept, but let's take a look at the SMS and see what it looks like when we are working with the actual SMS action. And that is, in the SMS action, we have the from, and it says here your Twilio account is connected, and mine is. If it was not connected, it would tell you that it's not going to do this. It's not going to work. Now, there's on the right, there's two options here. One says static, and one says dynamic. And what this comes down to is, what is a smart plan doing? If you're using a smart plan to reach out multiple times, multiple touches to your contact, then you could effectively add multiple SMSs. And you could also set them up so that the repeat smart plan would restart the smart plan after a certain amount of days. The problem comes in if the SMS message in the original smart plan has not changed. When the system repeats the smart plan, they're going to see the exact same SMS message that you place in here. And that can be repetitive, and it can also feel a little bit mechanical, and it turn a lot of people off. So they added a feature that allows you to say that my smart plan text message is going to be dynamic. And what this means is that I can write up to 6 unique messages in the same spot for one SMS message. And every time that the smart plan repeats, up into 6 times, they will receive 6 different messages, even though the smart plan is repeating. So a dynamic message will pick the next message in each of these SMS texts and send that out every time it repeats until it gets to 6, in which case it will come back around to the first one. So that's something to keep in mind, is that you can actually change the message for your recipients so they're not seeing the same static text message pop up in their phone every single time. So 6 different ones here. You can have up to, like I said, you can keep on adding them up to 6. And that's a really cool feature. If the smart plan is just a one-time smart plan where it runs and does all of its touches and then stops, a static may be fine. Or, if you're putting 2 or 3 SMS messages in a smart plan that are separated by other things, then you can write 2 separate messages. It's a great tool, all right? Now, the next thing here is that you can actually add a delay between steps. It's kind of self-explanatory. Maybe after you send an email, before you send an SMS message, maybe you want to specify a delay of 1 week. You can use a delay here to do that. The next thing here is you can add this smart plan can have, let me start again. You can bring another smart plan. I'm not saying it the way I want to say it. This contact that is receiving this smart plan, when they reach this stage, you can transfer them to a different smart plan. Let's try it that way. Let's see if I can get that to make it make more sense. So if there's 5 or 6 steps in a smart plan and you want them to go to another smart plan after this, you can add them to the next smart plan, which might have different steps and different touches. And you can do it right from here so that it automatically triggers the next smart plan. That may not have been expressed as clearly as I would have liked. If you have any questions on that, please reach out to me. And then finally, down at the bottom, we have the ability to restart the smart plan. Essentially what we're saying is the smart plan will go back to the top and start again once it has reached the bottom or once it has reached the end of the smart plan. This can be very useful for the repeating process so that they're staying on the smart plan until they tell you they don't want to be on it. But remember, if you're using SMS messages, you want to use the dynamic messages so that they will see different messages, up to 6 different messages in this smart plan, so that they're not seeing the same thing over and over, especially if you repeat it. Okay, so now that we've gone over what are the elements in a smart plan, what are the foundational things that we need, I want to take a moment and talk about something that Alana Babineau, the marketing design person here, she is absolutely fantastic and has some wonderful ideas regarding the way that you can build smart plans. So I want to show you something here. I'm going to go over and I'm going to choose to show docs.google.com here. And I'm in my Google Docs. And one of the things that you can do here is you can kind of build out your smart plan here. So this will be, maybe this is going to be open house smart plan. Okay, now that we've done that, we maybe step one is that we need to send out a notification, an event notification. Now, how do you want to do it? So maybe that's going to be send a text message about the house. Actually, you know what? Let's do it because I'm gonna use something a little more exciting. So we're gonna send an email about the open house. Okay. Now that email we're going to have to create a design for. So this is, we'll put a little note to ourselves: need design. Okay. Now step number 2 in the smart plan is maybe it's going to be an SMS message with the address of the open house. Okay, so step number 3 might be a follow-up after the open house and say, you know, did you enjoy it, and did you have any questions about the open house? Okay, so now we send an email follow-up, which again we will need a design, and also we might even need a landing page for that to capture information or to at least get some feedback on that. Now, speaking of this, let's say that we want in here, we want to say that after we send out the email with the design there, maybe we want to send out another email with a follow-up to a link with the landing page. So send second email with landing page. Okay, now 4 steps. Maybe after the email, we'll do a follow-up phone call. Okay, now as far as your processes, this is just an idea. I'm just tossing this out here. But when you are working on this, you might say to yourself, okay, send out an email about the open house. Great, we need a new design. So we're going to need images, we're going to need all that. Send out a second email with a landing page. We're going to need to create a landing page. And that happens inside of our consumer area. Then we need to send an SMS with the address, which we need to compose. Okay. And then sending an email follow-up, need another design, and then a follow-up phone call, and we're going to have to build that with the phone numbers and everything for the people that we wanted to attend. So here's the deal. By setting this up here as a map for what you're going to do, before you actually begin to build the smart plan in Command, you will know that these can be checked off so that you have the design for the initial, you have the design with the landing page, you've composed your email, you have the design for the follow-up. Excellent. Now that you've done all that work, then you can come back to the smart plan area and you can do the assembly of the smart plan by bringing all this information in here together. Great. The last step is to go ahead and start working. And I'll put this back on this little sheet here. So the thing that we need to do as we're building the smart plan, remember, this is the build process. I'm going to even... this is not the smart plan itself that's running. This is how we're going to build it, right? Well, when we've done all of this, once we've created all this, then we need to add the contacts. So in order to do this last step, we need to know who those contacts are. So we need to either use tags or some other method to identify who is going to get this smart plan regarding my fictitious open house. That could be everybody in your database, or it could be a select group of people in maybe a particular town or neighborhood or whatever. That we discuss in a totally different level. But the idea here is to know everything about the smart plan, who it's going to touch, And the reason for the smart plan, all of this is all built before we build it. Once we've done all the building, then once again, we can come back to the smart plan, add all of those steps in here. And then once we've completed that, then we can use the add contacts to our smart plan. Let me go ahead and just put a call really quick in here so that I have something. And now I can do the adding. So here is the part where we add people. So let me do that again so you can see. After we've created the smart plan, we've saved all the parts of the smart plan. Up in the top right hand corner, there's an add people or add contacts. Add contacts to smart plan icon. It's just to the left of the save button. Here we can use tags. If we have created a tag and assigned that tag to the contacts that we're looking for. Let's say I want to say all of this goes out to all the people who have Gmail. So now I've got a Gmail tag, and when I look at this, there are 79 total people, and I can start pulling them in one at a time, or I can select up to 20 at a time per page and keep going here. So now I have the people that I want on this smart plan. Okay, so tags are one way to do it by grouping them together. I can bring them in individually, but again, this goes into the planning process. If we don't know who we're going to be reaching out to and we haven't done that work, then when we get to the point in the smart plan where we have to do that, we'll probably have to stop and go back and create those tags because we're not ready for them. And this is why a smart plan outline like this can really make it so much easier for you as you're building your smart plan, because you know that this step was done before we actually built the smart plan itself. So let's say after we do all of this, the building here, we're going to say tag contacts. This way, that's done. Then we build the smart plan, and then we add the contacts that have already been tagged from step number 6. It's a great way to think about all of the steps involved. And by the way, I'm not even saying that I'm using all the steps. You can see that I'm just kind of going through an outline here and laying it out for you. But you can always go back and look at something like this, create your own, and have a great idea of what it's going to take, what information you're going to need to build your smart plan. If you do this, then you will be able to repeat this process over and over with each one of your different smart plan types. You can even create these in Google Docs, save them, and then just copy and paste the designs. For example, in this one section here, maybe this is where we're going to actually write the content of the email, and we'll use that in the design, so we can copy and paste it in the design. So the same thing with when we send the SMS, we can actually write that content here and copy and paste it out of here. So it's all inside of the document that is the master outline for our smart plan as we're building it. Okay? All right. So go back. I'm going back over here to smart plans, and this is the foundation class. So we're not building an actual smart plan here, but if you'll join me for, I think it's on Thursday this week coming up, and I'm going to check that now while I am looking here. Opportunities. No, it's not this Thursday. Let's see when the next one is, because Thursday we're actually doing the where is my smart plan class? Oh, it looks like we didn't put a workshop in this month. We'll figure one out. We'll look at power, construction, referrals. Well, we got a whole bunch of, man, there are a lot of classes. Okay. It may end up being a week or so away, but we will get one in for you there so that you have a smart plan workshop. If you do need assistance, even if it's not with regards to the class, please feel free to reach out to me and we can get you inside of a one-on-one meeting with me, and we can get a class together. Let's see, we'll try that one. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys got some good information. If you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out to me, and I will go ahead and bring up my little screen here that shows, or is it? Where is my little guy here that shows the info? There it is. I'll bring this up here. If you want to reach out to me, you can get in touch with me via email at robert.vincent@kwclm. You can book time with me at timewithrobert.com. The Zoom room when we meet is kwtechtv.com. All of the YouTube streams are at kwtechtube.com, which is where we're at today as well. The Facebook live stream is here on Facebook in the KW group, KWCLM. And I hope that you guys got some good stuff out of here this today. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you out. And that should do it for us today here. Hope you have an awesome day. And I will see you at 2 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock today, we're going to be going over a different class. And that class is going to be, we're going to be talking about referrals. So we're going to be doing Command Your Referrals this afternoon. And that should be a fun class. We'll see you then at 2 o'clock. Same place here on the KW group or on the YouTube channel, KW Tech Tube. Thanks a lot.